If you were asked to describe modern age in English literature in just one word, what would that word be? Would it be innovation, disillusionment, fragmentation, or all of them together? Each word describes one of the facets of modern age in English literature. How? We'll cover that in this video. Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Riya Gandhi and I upload videos related to UGC NET English literature where I share certain essential tips and strategies and cover some of the most important concepts related to UGC NET English literature. Friends, if you would have taken a look at the previous year questions of UGC NET English exam paper 2, you will realize that a significant amount of questions have been asked from modern age in English literature. So if you are preparing for your UGC NET exam this year or will prepare next year, you should not miss out on modern age. In today's video, we are going to dive deep into some of the most important features of modern age and discuss the three most important writers in that particular age. They are James Joyce, Virginia Woolf, and D.H. Lawrence. Stick till the end of this video because we are also going to discuss some of the frequently asked questions related to these writers, and I'll be sharing certain tips that will help you crack the exam. Friends, before we begin discussing the features of modern age, we need to focus upon where the word modern comes from. The word modern comes from the Latin word modo, which means current. Given the kind of innovation and rapid technological advancements that was happening during this period, modern age spans from the late 19th century to somewhere in the middle of the 20th century. This period saw a lot of cultural shocks like the two world wars, the first one spanning from 1914 to 1919 and the second one spanning from 1939 to 1945. To deal with such horrors of humanity during and after the wars was unimaginable by the people. So the artists and citizens dealt with it in their own manner. So, you see the emergence of a lot of modernist art movements like Expressionism, Surrealism, Cubism, Vorticism, and more. But the modern age in English literature is predominantly characterized by experimentation. You see a lot of modernist writers experimenting with their writing styles, including the narrative structures where they have introduced non-linearity, fragmentation, showcasing the fragmented condition of humanity itself. Owing to these culture shocks, we also see the emergence of psychological novel or stream of consciousness novel. Now, what happens in these novels is that writers have tried to focus upon the characters and their individualities. They have not focused upon the external realities or what is happening around these characters. They are focused upon what is happening inside these characters, their internal realities, and try to capture the thought processes. So you will see the writing styles are quite racy in manner, trying to capture the speed of those thought processes that generally occur in our minds on a daily basis. So modern fiction or the novels written in the modern age, they focus more upon the individuality of the characters, trying to capture the subjective realities rather than focusing upon the collective unity of a society to deal with the horrors of world wars. Did you know who was the first writer to write a stream of consciousness novel in the modern age? It was actually Marcel Proust, who wrote In Search of Lost Time in 7 volumes from 1913 to 1927 in a stream of consciousness manner. James Joyce and Virginia Woolf were just following his footsteps. Having said that, we have now acquired the basic understanding of modern age and its features. Now it's time to dive deep into the 3 most important writers from modern age from UGC NET point of view. The first major writer that we are going to discuss right now in modern age from UGC NET point of view is James Joyce. An Irishman by origin, he was born in Dublin, so you see a lot of Irish character and tone in his novels. The most influential work of his that we are going to discuss right now is Ulysses, which was published in 1920. A humongous novel of about 700 to 800 pages. It describes only a single day in the life of three characters, that is Leopold Bloom, the protagonist, his wife Molly Bloom, and an artist, Stephen Dedalus, who is basically the voice of James Joyce himself. We see this character of Stephen Dedalus in another work of Joyce, which is a portrait of the artist as a young man that was published in 1916. Since Ulysses is a stream of consciousness novel, we are admitted to the innermost thought processes of the three characters at the same time. And also we need to discuss why did Joyce name his novel as Ulysses? Because each chapter in this particular novel corresponds to some of the other episodes in Homer's Odyssey. It is very interesting to note that the day that it describes, that is 16th June 1904, is said to be the day on which James Joyce went on a first date with his future wife Nora Barnacle. And this day is also described as Bloom's Day in honor of its character, that is Leopold Bloom. Other important works written by James Joyce are Finnegan's Wake and the most important short story collection, Dubliners. Similar to James Joyce, we have another modern age writer who tried to depict the workings of one particular day in her work. The name of that modern age writer is Virginia Woolf, and the title of her work is Mrs. Dalloway, which was published in 1925. Sadly, Virginia Woolf is not a huge fan of James Joyce. In fact, in a letter to someone, she mentioned that when she read Ulysses, she found herself to be quite puzzled, bored, irritated, and disillusioned by a queasy undergraduate scratching his pimples. Quite a strange description, but moving on, when we talk about Virginia Woolf and her personal life, she was kind of infamous for her love affairs. But when we talk about Virginia Woolf as a writer, she was one of the most influential practitioners of stream of consciousness method. When we read her fiction, we realize that past, present, and future are almost on the same continuum, and it's very difficult to differentiate between realities and dreams and imaginations and hallucinations. At the same time, her most controversial novel has been Orlando, which was published in 1928. Set in Elizabethan England, the story is about Orlando who wishes to remain a young man forever in his life, only to discover later that he has become a woman. This is a best critique of gender and identity, and at the same time, Woolf has always been an advocate of androgyny, so her ideas on androgyny are best reflected here. Her other popular and important fictional works are The Waves, To the Lighthouse, Mrs. Dalloway that we just discussed right now. Apart from that, she is also recognized for her non-fiction, which is A Room of One's Own. It is based upon two of her lectures that she gave in Newnham College and Girton College. These are really great if you really want to know about the status of women in literature, especially during the 20th century. However, while growing up, Virginia Woolf had seen a lot of mental sufferings and had suffered a lot of mental ups and downs in her life. And while growing up, she also had seen the deaths of many people in her life, because of which towards the end, she committed suicide by drowning herself. The modern age was also the age of exploring the human psyche, because it was during this time that Sigmund Freud had published his The Interpretation of Dreams, which was published in 1899. In this particular book, Freud had explored the idea of the unconscious, the remotest part of our minds that we cannot access. And this part mostly constitutes of our unfulfilled desires and wants, mostly sexual desires and wants that we have towards a person that the society advises us to not have. For example, the Oedipal complex, where the son has sexual attractions towards their mother. Now, one of the major modern age writers who was influenced by Oedipal complex and various other psychological theories was David Herbert Lawrence, or more popularly called as D.H. Lawrence. You find the representation of Oedipal complex in his most famous work, that is Sons and Lovers, that was published in 1913. You can find the subtle influence of Oedipal complex in the representation of the relationship between the sons William and Paul towards their mother, Mrs. Morrel. His most controversial novel so far has been Lady Chatterley's Lover, which was initially banned because of its controversial storyline where the woman protagonist from upper class wants to sexually assert her identity with a man belonging from the working class. It triggered the sentiments of the society during that point of time, and because of which it was initially banned. It was later published in France and then finally published in US in 1959. Other important works written by David Herbert Lawrence are The Plumed Serpent, The White Peacock, Aaron's Rod, and more, which are equally important to view and understand from UGC-NET point of view. Friends, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video itself, that a lot of questions have been frequently asked related to these three iconic writers in UGC-NET English exam over the course of these years. Having had a basic understanding of these writers and their works, now it's time to dive deep into discussing what kind of questions have been frequently asked in UGC-NET English exam. I remember in the previous year, some of the questions related to James Joyce were that Leopold Bloom is a character that makes an appearance in which of the novels? So the option is given and the answer is definitely Ulysses. Another question related to James Joyce was that what was the title of the short story collection published by James Joyce in 1914? We just discussed in today's video and the answer is Dubliners. Another question that was asked related to D.H. Lawrence in the previous year UGC-NET English exam was that Penguin Books was prosecuted and later acquitted for publishing a novel written by D.H. Lawrence because it had a lot of sexual frankness and sexuality that was dealt in a very open manner. I hope I don't need to tell you the answer because we just discussed in today's video. It is Lady Chatterley's Lover. A question related to Virginia Woolf that was asked in the previous year UGC-NET English exam was, which of the lines of Shakespeare which were repeated several times in Virginia Woolf's Mrs. Dalloway? The answer is, fear no more the heat of the sun, nor the furious winter's rages. These were just a few examples that we discussed right now related to these writers from UGC-NET English exam papers. There are a lot of other questions related to these writers that are repeatedly asked in UGC-NET English exam. So if you are preparing for your UGC-NET English exam, you should not miss out on modern age and especially these writers. I am covering these writers and other important writers from each and every age in my live classes that I am taking this year for UGC-NET English exam preparation. In these classes, I am sharing personalized guidance, offering notes, and covering some of the most important concepts related to the history of British English literature and literary criticism in a very comprehensive manner. If you want to know more about the courses I offer, the sessions I take, the personalized guidance I share, and the notes I offer, feel free to check out my TopMate page. It's topmate.io/Rhea Gandhi. That's it for today's video, folks. If you found it informative and helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on any videos that I will be uploading in the future. Thank you so much for watching till the end. I'll see you in the next one.